My name is Leo, and I'm 34 years old. I didn't plan to share this story, but after what happened at my brother's wedding, I need to get it off my chest. My relationship with my younger brother, Jack, has always been complicated. He's 31, charming, successful, and always the golden child. Meanwhile, I've always been the quieter one, the fixer, the one who steps in when things go wrong. If Jack messed up, it was usually me who dealt with the fallout. Growing up, Jack would always get away with things. Whether it was breaking something at home or getting into trouble, our parents would just shake their heads and say, "Leo, you're older. Be the example." So I did. When Jack dented my car at 17, I paid for the insurance and kept quiet. When he got caught shoplifting at 21, I bailed him out and didn't let it become a family issue. It became my role, cleaning up after him, keeping the peace. Fast forward to the present. Jack was getting married to Ashley, a woman I never really clicked with. She's the kind of person who makes you feel small without saying much, always looking like she's evaluating whether someone more important just walked in. We'd only met a few times, but each time, I left feeling like an afterthought. Still, I wanted to be supportive. I even helped Jack with some planning, recommended a great caterer and made sure he got a discount through my company. I didn't expect to be his best man, but I thought I'd at least be treated like family. The wedding itself was beautiful, a countryside venue with fairy lights and rustic decor. I arrived early, gift in hand, a classy engraved decanter set with their initials. I thought it was thoughtful, something they could keep for years. When I checked in at the welcome table, the planner frowned at the list. "You're marked as a +1, she said, looking confused. My stomach dropped. Before I could question it, Ashley appeared. "Oh, Leo, you made it," she said, all smiles. "Seating was a challenge, so you're near the kitchen. Hope that's okay." I forced a nod, trying not to show how humiliated I felt. I made my way to my assigned seat, a folding chair next to the kitchen entrance. The servers kept brushing past, and the smell of food was overwhelming. I couldn't believe it. My own brother's wedding, and I was practically shoved out of sight. As I looked around, I noticed who got the prime spots: our uncle, who hadn't spoken to Jack in years, and our cousin Kyle, who once stole from our grandma. Then I saw her, Tara, my ex, just a few tables away from the sweetheart table, laughing and drinking. Jack had introduced us back in the day, and when we broke up, he kept her as a friend. Seeing her treated better than me hurt more than I wanted to admit. It became clear that this wasn't just a mistake, it was intentional. They wanted me out of sight. I tried to sit through it, but seeing Jack whisper something to Tara during the reception broke me. I couldn't take it anymore. Quietly, I stood up, grabbed my gift, and walked out. As I passed Ashley, she asked, "Where are you going?" I didn't look back. +1 this, I muttered and kept walking. When I reached the parking lot, I heard Jack's footsteps behind me. He looked more annoyed than concerned. "Leo, what's your problem? Why are you leaving?" I just looked at him, too tired to argue. "You put me by the kitchen," I said quietly. He hesitated. "Ashley did the seating. I didn't think it was a big deal." Typical Jack, always someone else's fault. I just shook my head and got in my car. That night, I didn't go straight home. I drove to a quiet spot overlooking the city and just sat there, processing the years of being overlooked and taken for granted. It wasn't just the wedding, it was a lifetime of being treated like I didn't matter. And for the first time, I realized I was done being the reliable, invisible brother. I was done letting him take advantage of me. I made a promise to myself: I wasn't going to be the quiet, dependable fixer anymore. If Jack didn't think I deserved a place at his table, then I was done giving him a place in my life. The morning after the wedding, I woke up feeling a strange mix of exhaustion and clarity. The night before felt surreal, like I had finally snapped after years of quietly tolerating being overlooked. I kept replaying Jack's face when I walked out, the confusion, the hint of guilt. For once, I didn't rush to make things right. I didn't reach out to explain or apologize. I just let it sit. A few hours later, my phone buzzed. Several missed calls from Jack and a few messages. "Dude, where did you go? Seriously, are you mad about the seating?" He didn't get it. He couldn't see that it wasn't just about where I sat, but about how little he thought of me when making decisions. I couldn't bring myself to reply. I needed time to think, and honestly, I didn't owe him an explanation right now. I was done always being the one to fix things. I spent that day keeping busy, cleaning the apartment, running errands, anything to keep my mind off the situation. But no matter what I did, the anger kept creeping back. Later, my mom called. I hesitated before picking up, knowing what was coming. Leo, honey, Jack's really upset. He says you left the wedding early and didn't say goodbye. What happened? Her voice was laced with concern. I didn't want to unload everything on her, but I couldn't just pretend nothing was wrong. Mom, they put me by the kitchen. I wasn't even considered family. It wasn't just a mistake, Ashley did it on purpose, and Jack didn't care enough to change it. She was quiet for a moment. Oh, Leo, you know how weddings can be chaotic. I'm sure it wasn't meant to hurt you. I took a deep breath, trying to keep my frustration in check. Mom, it's not just the wedding. It's always been like this. I'm always the one who gets pushed aside while Jack gets treated like he's the center of the universe. I just can't keep pretending it doesn't bother me. She sighed. You're his brother, Leo. You've always been the one to keep things together. Maybe you could just talk to him? Work it out. I couldn't help but feel the familiar pressure to be the peacemaker. I need some time, Mom. I'm tired of being the one who always bends. After we hung up, I felt a wave of guilt. I knew Mom just wanted the family to be okay, but I couldn't go back to being the one who swallowed his feelings to make that happen. The next few days passed without any contact from Jack. I could feel the tension building, like everyone was waiting for me to just cave and make it right. But I didn't. I needed him to realize that he couldn't keep taking me for granted. One evening I got a message from my cousin Kyle. Hey man, Jack's been saying you overreacted at the wedding. What's going on? I wasn't surprised that Jack was spinning the story. I just replied. It's more complicated than that. I just needed some space. I didn't feel the need to justify myself to everyone. I knew the truth, that for once, I put my feelings first. Then, a few days later, Jack finally called again. His tone was different, less defensive, more cautious. Hey, Leo. I just wanted to check in. I guess I messed up, huh? It wasn't much, but it was a start. Yeah, Jack. You did. It wasn't just about where I sat. It was about how you didn't think to make sure your own brother was treated like family. He was quiet for a moment. I didn't mean to make you feel like that. Ashley was stressed, and I just thought. I don't know that you wouldn't care where you sat. I guess I didn't think it through. Typical Jack, always thinking that my feelings were less important than keeping his life running smoothly. That's the problem, Jack. You never think about how your actions affect me. You just expect me to roll with it and keep quiet. He didn't argue, which surprised me. I guess I've been selfish. I'm not good at this, Leo. I didn't think it would hurt you like that. I could hear some honesty in his voice, but I wasn't ready to let it slide. Look, I just need some time. I'm not saying I hate you or that I'll never get over it. I just need a break from always being the one to forgive and move on. He didn't push. Okay. I get it. I'll give you space. After hanging up, I felt a mix of relief and sadness. It was the first time I hadn't rushed to smooth things over. It wasn't easy, but it felt necessary. I knew Jack didn't fully understand yet, but at least he wasn't trying to guilt-trip me into moving on too fast. That night, I sat down and thought about what it meant to finally set a boundary. For years, I had let myself be the one who compromised, who stayed quiet to keep the peace. But for once, I had drawn a line. Maybe Jack would eventually get it, or maybe he wouldn't. But either way, I wasn't going to keep sacrificing my feelings just to make things easier for him. After that conversation with Jack, I felt lighter but still cautious. His apology seemed genuine, but I wasn't ready to just let it go. I had spent too many years being the one who patched things up, only to be overlooked the next time something went wrong. This time, I needed to stand firm and let him realize that his actions had consequences. For the next few days, I kept my distance. Jack texted a few times, short messages like, "Hope you're good," or, "Miss you, man." I didn't ignore him completely, but I kept my replies brief. I needed him to understand that just because he apologized didn't mean everything was instantly okay. One evening, Mom called me again. Her voice was softer this time. "Leo, I talked to Jack. He seems off. I think he really regrets how things went at the wedding." I wasn't surprised. Jack wasn't used to being the one left hanging. Usually, I was the one making sure things went back to normal. "I know, Mom. But I need him to think about how he treated me. It's not just about the wedding, it's about how he's taken me for granted for years. She sighed. I get that, honey. It's just hard seeing you both like this. You've always been the one who kept the family together. I couldn't help but feel a familiar twinge of guilt. Maybe that's the problem, Mom. I've always been the one to fix things, and Jack just expects it now. He needs to understand that I'm not always going to do that. She didn't push any further, just said she loved me and hoped things would get better. I appreciated that she was trying to understand, even if she didn't fully get it. A few days later, I ran into Kyle at the grocery store. He looked a bit awkward but approached me anyway. Hey, Leo. I heard about the wedding stuff. Jack's been pretty down. I think he's starting to realize he screwed up. I just nodded. Yeah, well, it's about time he figured it out. Kyle hesitated. He mentioned how he didn't think you'd care where you sat. He's just not good at thinking about other people's feelings sometimes. That much was obvious. It's not just about the seat, Kyle. It's about how he didn't even consider me. I was his brother, and he treated me like an afterthought. Kyle shrugged, looking sheepish. I get it. Just thought you should know he's been talking about it a lot. Maybe he's finally waking up. I wasn't convinced, but I appreciated that Jack was actually reflecting instead of just brushing it off. After Kyle left, I couldn't help but think about how strange it felt to have someone on my side for once. Usually, everyone just expected me to forgive and move on, but now even Kyle seemed to see that Jack had messed up. That night I got another text from Jack. Hey Leo, I know I've been a jerk. I've been thinking about what you said. I never thought about how it felt from your side. I just always figured you didn't care about stuff like that. I get that it was wrong. I really want to make it up to you. Can we talk sometime? I stared at the message for a while, unsure how to respond. Part of me was glad he was finally seeing things from my perspective, but I also didn't want to just let him off the hook because he finally said the right words. After thinking it over, I replied, I'm glad you're starting to understand. But I still need some time. It's not just about saying sorry, it's about actually changing how you treat me. I'm not gonna pretend it didn't hurt. He replied quickly. I get it. Take your time. I just want to fix this when you're ready. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress. I wasn't looking for him to be perfect overnight. I just needed to know that he genuinely wanted to do better. Over the next week, I kept my responses short but polite. I wasn't trying to shut him out completely, just setting a boundary. I needed Jack to understand that this wasn't something that could be fixed with a few messages. He needed to show me that things would change. One evening, I decided to go for a walk to clear my head. As I passed by the park where Jack and I used to play soccer as kids, I couldn't help but feel a pang of nostalgia. I didn't want to lose my brother, but I also couldn't keep pretending that being overlooked didn't bother me. For once, I was letting myself feel hurt instead of burying it to keep the peace. It wasn't easy, but it felt necessary. Maybe this time, Jack would learn that relationships weren't just about saying the right things, they were about doing better. A few weeks passed, and I kept my distance from Jack. I wasn't ignoring him completely, but I didn't feel ready to just go back to normal either. I needed to see that he understood what went wrong, not just say sorry because he felt guilty. One evening, Mom invited me over for dinner. I almost declined, not wanting another round of guilt tripping, but she promised it would just be her and Dad. When I got there, the atmosphere was relaxed, no drama, just the usual chatter. I could tell she was trying not to push the topic of Jack, but I knew it would come up eventually. As we sat down to eat, Dad finally spoke up. Leo, I know you and Jack are still figuring things out. Your mom and I have been talking, and we realized something. We didn't teach you both how to handle things fairly. You always stepped up, and we just let you. I looked at him, surprised. Dad wasn't the type to admit mistakes easily. What do you mean? I asked. He sighed. Jack's always been the one needing help, and you've always been the one giving it. We got used to that. Maybe we put too much pressure on you to keep things smooth. We never really made him take responsibility. It hit me then that this was bigger than just the wedding. This was about how Jack and I had fallen into roles that never changed, me as the fixer, him as the one who messed up. I guess I just got tired of it. I admitted. I wanted him to see me as more than just his safety net. Mom reached over and squeezed my hand. We didn't realize how much you were carrying, Leo. I'm sorry for that. I didn't know how to respond. Just hearing them acknowledge it felt like a weight lifting off my shoulders. After dinner, I thanked them and headed home, feeling more understood than I had in a long time. A few days later, I got an unexpected text from Jack. "Hey, I talked to Mom and Dad. I guess I never thought about how much I relied on you. I'm trying to work on it. I miss hanging out, man." I wasn't sure how to feel. It sounded like he was starting to get it, but I didn't want to jump back in too quickly. I needed to see real change. That weekend I decided to go out with some friends and clear my head. As we were grabbing drinks, one of my buddies, Nate, mentioned seeing Jack at a local bar the other night. "He seemed kind of down. Said he screwed up with you. Didn't go into details, but he looked like he knew he messed up." Hearing that felt strange. Jack wasn't the type to openly admit fault, especially not to other people. Maybe he was starting to reflect. Part of me wanted to reach out, but I held back. I needed to make sure he wasn't just feeling guilty because things didn't go his way. The next evening, Jack sent another message. "I know I messed up, Leo. I'm not trying to push you, but I just want you to know I am sorry. I never thought about how much you always did for me without asking for anything back. I guess I just took it for granted." This time I replied, "I appreciate you saying that. It's not just about the wedding, though. It's about how I've always been expected to be the one who fixes things. I can't keep doing that." He responded almost immediately. "I get it. I do. I'm trying to figure out how to be better. I just didn't realize how one-sided it had become. I miss having you around." I could feel his sincerity, but I still wasn't ready to just move on. I needed more than words. "I need to see things change, Jack. Not just for now, but long term. I'm not going to just be the backup plan anymore." His reply was short but honest. "I get that. I'll prove it to you." I put my phone down, not entirely convinced but feeling cautiously optimistic. It wasn't easy to let go of the hurt, but seeing Jack genuinely trying was a start. Maybe this time, he wouldn't just fall back into old habits. That night, as I sat on the balcony, I realized that standing up for myself had changed more than just my relationship with Jack. It had changed how I saw myself, no longer just the guy who kept the peace but someone who deserved respect, too. After that text exchange with Jack, I still kept my distance. I wasn't trying to punish him, I just needed time to figure out how I felt. Words were easy for Jack. He could apologize, sound sincere, and then slip back into the same old patterns. This time, I needed to see more than just words. A few days later, he showed up at my place unannounced. I hesitated before letting him in, but I figured I owed him a chance to talk face to face. He looked uncomfortable, not his usual confident self. "Hey," he started, scratching the back of his neck. "Can I come in?" I nodded, stepping aside. He walked in and sat on the edge of the couch, clearly unsure of what to say. After a long pause, he finally spoke. "I've been thinking a lot since we talked. I didn't get it before. I just never saw how much I was putting on you. It's like, in my head, you were always just there. You never made a fuss, so I didn't think it bothered you." I didn't respond right away, just let him talk. Jack took a deep breath. "When you walked out of the wedding, it hit me. You've never done that before, just left. I knew I messed up, but I couldn't wrap my head around why it hurt you that much. Then I talked to Mom and Dad. They kind of made me see that I've been using you as my fallback guy forever. I didn't realize how unfair that was." His voice was quieter than usual, more thoughtful. I could tell he was struggling to find the right words. "I guess I just always thought you didn't mind. You always handled stuff. You never got mad, never complained. I figured it was just how we were." I looked at him, finally breaking my silence. "That's the problem, Jack. I shouldn't have to complain for you to see that it's not fair. You treated me like an extra at your wedding, like I didn't matter. I'm tired of always being the one who has to fix things." He nodded slowly. "I know. And I'm sorry. I'm trying to understand how to do better. I just don't want to lose you, man." It was the most genuine I'd seen him in a long time. Usually, Jack would brush things off or joke around, but this time, he seemed genuinely worried. I took a deep breath. "I'm not saying I'm cutting you off. I just need to see you actually change, not just say you will. I can't keep being the guy who's always there to clean up your messes." Jack didn't argue, just nodded. "I get it. I know I've been selfish. I didn't mean to make you feel like you didn't matter. I just Never thought about it. For a while, we just sat there, the silence more comfortable than it had been in years. Eventually, Jack spoke up again. Would you be up for grabbing a beer sometime? Just to talk, you know. Not about all this, just to catch up. I thought about it. I wasn't sure if I was ready to jump back into hanging out like nothing happened, but I also knew that progress meant giving him a chance. Maybe. Let's take it slow. He gave me a small, relieved smile. Yeah. Slow's good. After he left, I couldn't help but feel a bit hopeful. It wasn't a perfect fix, but it felt like a step in the right direction. For once, I hadn't just caved or pretended it didn't hurt. I made him understand that I wasn't going to just roll with it anymore. Later that night, I got a text from Mom. Jack came by after seeing you. He seemed different, more thoughtful. I think you got through to him. I'm proud of you, Leo. I didn't reply right away, just let it sink in. Maybe setting boundaries didn't mean pushing people away entirely. Maybe it just meant making it clear that I wouldn't keep putting myself last. For the first time in a long time, I felt like I was being seen, not just as the reliable brother, but as someone who deserved respect, too. After that talk with Jack, I felt cautiously optimistic. He had finally acknowledged his mistakes and seemed genuinely willing to change. But I wasn't going to just take his word for it. I needed to see consistent effort, not just one heartfelt conversation. A week passed without much contact. Then, one evening, I got a text from Jack. Hey, I'm heading to the bar with some guys. Thought I'd invite you first this time. No pressure, just wanted to include you. It was such a small thing, but it caught me off guard. Jack usually planned his nights without a second thought about whether I'd want to join. I didn't feel like going, but I appreciated the gesture. I replied, thanks for asking. I'll pass tonight, but maybe next time. The next few weeks were quieter than usual. Jack didn't bombard me with messages or try to force things back to normal. He gave me the space I'd asked for, and that alone was progress. I spent time catching up with friends, going hiking, and doing things just for me. It felt good to reclaim my own time without worrying about being the reliable brother. One Saturday, Jack showed up at my place unexpectedly, holding a six-pack of my favorite beer. Hey, he greeted me with a cautious smile. Figured I'd see if you wanted to catch the game. If not, no big deal. Part of me wanted to turn him away, but I remembered our last talk. I nodded. Yeah, come in. We sat on the couch, watching the game in comfortable silence. After a while, Jack spoke up. I've been thinking about how I can do better. I know it's gonna take time. But I want to be a better brother to you. I glanced over, surprised at his sincerity. It's not just about being better, Jack. It's about understanding that I matter too. Not just when it's convenient. He nodded, his eyes fixed on the TV. I get that now. I didn't before. I guess I always just relied on you to be the one who held things together. I didn't realize how much that put on you. I didn't want to make a big deal out of it, but I appreciated him saying that. It's a start. I replied, keeping my tone light. As the game wrapped up, Jack didn't push to stay longer or dig into more serious topics. He just thanked me for letting him hang out and headed home. It wasn't a grand gesture, but it was different. He wasn't demanding my forgiveness or trying to act like nothing happened. He was just trying to be better, one small step at a time. Over the next few weeks, Jack kept up the effort. He'd check in without sounding needy and didn't expect me to drop everything for him. When Mom hosted a small family dinner, Jack made sure to include me in the planning, asking if I'd like to help cook. It was a small thing, but considering how he usually just showed up expecting food to be ready, it felt like he was starting to understand the importance of effort. At one point during dinner, Mom made a joke about how Jack used to always leave chores to me when we were kids. Instead of laughing it off, Jack admitted, yeah, I was pretty lazy back then. Leo always picked up the slack. I should have done better. That one sentence hit harder than I expected. Hearing him acknowledge it in front of the family made me realize that maybe he was trying to change. I didn't say much, just gave a small nod, but it felt good not to be the only one carrying the weight of our shared history. After everyone left, Mom pulled me aside. I'm proud of you, Leo. You didn't just let things go this time. You made him understand. I know it wasn't easy. I just smiled, not really sure how to respond. It felt strange being the one to hold my ground for once. I wasn't used to being seen as the strong one. Later that night, Jack sent me another text. Thanks for giving me a chance to prove I can be better. I know I messed up, but I'm not going to take you for granted anymore. I promise. I didn't reply right away, just stared at the screen. It wasn't the grandest gesture, but it was real. Jack wasn't good with words, but his actions were starting to show he meant it. Maybe it would take time to fully trust it, but I was willing to give it a shot. As I lay in bed, I thought about how different this felt. It wasn't just about him saying sorry. It was about me not backing down, not rushing to forgive just because it was easier. Setting boundaries didn't mean losing my brother. It just meant making it clear that I deserved respect too. For the first time in years, I felt like I was on equal footing with Jack. He wasn't just taking me for granted anymore. He was starting to see me as his brother, not just as his fixer. It took time, but slowly, things started to feel more balanced between Jack and me. He wasn't just saying the right things anymore. He was showing that he wanted to change. I wasn't fully letting my guard down yet, but I was cautiously optimistic. One evening, Jack called me up and asked if I wanted to go hiking. I hesitated at first. Hiking had always been my way to clear my head, something I did alone to recharge. But I figured it wouldn't hurt to let him tag along. We met at the trailhead, and as we started walking, the conversation stayed light, mostly about work and the usual family stuff. Jack didn't push to talk about the wedding or the fallout, which I appreciated. About halfway through, when we stopped to catch our breath, he finally spoke up. "You know, I've been thinking about that night a lot," he said, looking down at the dirt trail. "I always just assumed you were okay with how things were. I never really thought about what you wanted or needed. I just took it for granted that you'd always be there." I looked at him, surprised by how genuine he sounded. "That's the thing, Jack. You never considered that I might want to be seen and appreciated. Not just used when you need something." He nodded, still not meeting my eyes. "I guess I thought because you never complained, it didn't bother you. But that's on me. I never should have just assumed." The honesty in his voice was something I hadn't heard in years. I wasn't sure how to respond, so I just nodded. We kept walking, and the silence felt more comfortable than it used to. After the hike, we sat on a bench overlooking the city. Jack pulled out a water bottle and took a long sip before speaking again. "I want to be better, Leo. I know I can't just flip a switch and make up for years of being selfish. But I'm trying. I want to be the kind of brother you deserve." For once, I believed him. It wasn't just an empty promise or a guilt-driven apology. It was real. "I just need to see that you're serious. It's not going to fix itself overnight." He nodded. "I get that. I'm not asking you to just forgive and forget. I just want a chance to prove it." We sat there for a while longer, just taking in the view. It felt good to know that I wasn't the only one putting in the effort anymore. Jack had finally realized that I wasn't just his safety net. I was his brother, and I deserved the same respect he expected from me. A few days later, Jack invited me to watch a game at his place. I almost declined out of habit, but something told me to give it a chance. When I arrived, he had already ordered my favorite takeout, and even had a cold beer waiting. It wasn't anything grand, but it was thoughtful, a sign that he was paying attention. During the game, we talked about random stuff, work, friends, plans for the holidays. It felt normal, not forced. When the game ended, Jack didn't rush me out like he used to. Instead, he suggested making it a regular thing, just hanging out without any pressure. As I drove home, I realized that maybe this was what I had been waiting for all along, not just an apology, but a shift in how Jack treated me. I didn't need grand gestures or dramatic apologies. I just needed to feel like I mattered. Later that week, Mom hosted another family dinner. This time, Jack made sure to include me in the prep, even texting beforehand to see what I wanted to bring. It felt good not to just be a guest but part of the planning. When everyone sat down to eat, Jack made a point of telling the family about our hike, actually sharing the story with enthusiasm instead of making it sound like he was just doing me a favor. For the first time in a long time, I felt like we were on equal footing. It wasn't perfect, and I knew there would be setbacks, but I also knew that I wasn't going to just settle for being the reliable, invisible brother anymore. That night, as I was getting ready for bed, Jack sent me a text. "Thanks for giving me another chance. I know I didn't deserve it, but I'm glad you did. I'm not gonna mess this up again." I replied, keeping it simple. "Just keep being real about it. That's all I need." For once, I wasn't holding my breath, waiting for things to go back to the way they were. I wasn't putting myself on the back burner just to keep the peace. I was standing up for myself, and Jack was stepping up in return. It felt like progress, and for the first time, I was cautiously hopeful that we could build something better. It wasn't about forgetting what happened, it was about making sure it never happened again. Sometimes, setting boundaries doesn't just protect you, it teaches others how to treat you right. I wasn't going to let myself be the shadow brother anymore. I deserved to be seen, and finally, it felt like Jack was seeing me.